Hi all. So as promised 2 weeks ago, which seems to have flown by, a build video, or we're going to go back before what I showed you last time, and how I get to what I get to, if that makes sense. So how we convert from a full-size microfilm, which I'll explain as we're doing it, where you're going to get your microfilms from for the engine that you're building. One thing with the laptop being in the workshop, I've not got Wi-Fi because my booster's not that far, so I'm going to kind of do it and just talk you through it, and hopefully add links on at the end of where you go to on the search engine at the National Railway Museum. For a BR standard, it's very easy because it's under B for BR. Ironic. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I've brought my laptop through, out, as I say, out to the workshop. I'm going to load a drawing that I've already done, and then load a microfilm for something else. If it's on the laptop, I hope it is. If not, I'm going to have to try and put the pictures in when I do the editing. And kind of go through it a little bit with you, where we're going to do the calculations and things like that, and how you're going to come to the calculations and things. As I say on the last video, you don't need to be a mathematician to do this. I'm certainly not. I failed maths at GCSE level, so hey, we can all have a go. So fingers crossed this all works out right and you kind of get it. If you don't worry. Send me a message or click a comment on, and I'll type up on there, you know, what you need to do and what you don't need to do, or, you know, if I'm doing something wrong and you go, oh, actually, if you did it this way, it'd be quicker, or whatever. It's all helpful. At the end of the day, we're all new engineers and new model engineers, and, you know, it's easy to buy something off the shelf that's already ready to run, but building something, you get some expertise, you learn a new skill and stuff like that, and that's what I'm hoping that somebody does or gets out of this. So fingers crossed, we're all in the right place. So let's get cracking. Okay, so I'm doing this a bit handheld at the moment, but you'll get the idea of what I'm going on about. So this is the published drawings that I'm kind of working off this, and also I'm working off this. This is a part of a microfilm that I purchased from the National Railway Museum. This is the hook plate that I showed you that's emitted from the drawing. So if we went back to the drawing, it's not there at all. And like I said to you in the last video about the angle, there's the angle that's drawn all the way across there. Now I'll tell you why that's drawn all the way across there like that, and not how it should be, which I don't think I've loaded a picture yet. I haven't. Not to worry. So why it's drawn like that, that copies the IVET Class 2, not the BR Standard Class 2. So the IVET Class 2, basically, yes, it has the same tender, but there is differences in the tender. So if we open up the massive file of photographs I've got, and yes, I may have only the preserved engines, but this is what you've got to go on. If you look at a preserved engine over a original engine, so if we zoom in on here, so this is a BR standard tender. Now there's things on here that I recognise, even though there's no rivets in the back of it. This is the preserved engine, so they've obviously welded the tank up. They didn't want to put the rivet detail in it, so they didn't. But you can see there's a piece of angle, then there's a gap, and there's a piece of angle. And this part here, zoom in a bit more without it distorting too much, this part here is what we're going to draw, which is that. Yeah, so we went to the NRM archives, found the drawing we needed. Now, to do a very simple equation on this, I'll say very simple, it is very simple when you look at it. So that's 4 inches across. Now what I have here, that's 4 inches across the top of there. Yeah, so if you can see the cursor, let me get the cursor back up. Where are we? 4 inches across here. See that? 4 inches. Yeah. So 4 inches being 4 inches. The way I do the calculation, type in 4. Yeah. Multiply that 4 by 0.1283. Okay. That's the equation that you need to convert your full size measurement into 7 1/4 gauge measurement. Equals 0.5132. So if we was going to draw that, I'm using Solid Edge. This is a free drawing program. See there, it's come up, what length do I want it? Yeah. So if we remember from the calculator, 0.5132. So lengthwise, minimise that. 0.5132. Yeah. Click OK. It's now drawn a straight line at the size I want. I'm zooming in a bit more so you can see it. It's disappearing off that side. And at the minute it's snapped one end at a dead start and the other end is exactly the length I need it. I want it at 0 degrees, so snap the other end down. That's set our width. Yeah. Straight away. So our other measurement, 10 1/4. Yeah. Is the other measurement I need. So we go in here. Yeah. Now this is where this sheet comes in handy. Okay. So 1/4, for those that aren't au fait with imperial measurements, 1/4 is 0.250. So 10 inches, 0.250 on the calculator. 10.25. Start again. 10.250. Yeah. Multiply that by 0.1283 equals. There's our measurement. 1 inch, 0.315. I know it's got lots of other digits on the end of it, but it's going to round it up or round it down when you put it onto your drawing program. So what did I say that was? Because I'm forgetful. One point 3 1.315. Yeah. 90 degrees down. Job done. Okay. If you come across on this drawing lot, it's automatically wanting to pick up the 90 degree or 180 degrees there because I'm going back the other way. It's trying to pick up the end where I want it. Already click it in. Join the two up there. Click it in. So we've now immediately got the shape of what we want. Yeah. The center line of the hook, yeah, is 4 7/8 down, and you notice that it's not, that cut out there is not dead central. And then you do from that center line, you do your rivet holes, yeah, either side. So that will offset that to the hook on the buffer beam. Yeah, so you'll notice on the actual full size lot it's slightly proud at the top than it is at the bottom, because the hook has got more at the bottom than it has at the top, which on that drawing it's not there at all. Yeah. So everything that we're working on is kind of moving about. I'm sorry for the shaky hand work here, I'm trying to balance on my stool, do this one-handed and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so without overcomplicating things when it comes to rivet diameters, it says there 13/16. So if we went on the calculations again on here, 13/16 on my sheet is 0.8125. okay, on there. Multiply that by 0.1283 equals 1042. So if we go back to the sheet here, because we've now converted it, so that's why I keep referring to this sheet, 1042, the nearest size, is between 7/64 and an eighth. But, and this is where I keep trying not to overcomplicate things, because I'm working on two separate drawings, and scale being scale. So what I've done for these rivets, I've copied the Dick Stockings drawings that are published, and it says there 3/32 rivets flush on the inside. Okay, so I've copied that and just done 3/32 rivets in mine. Yeah, so in that part it'll have a 3/32 rivet in it, top and bottom, to marry up with the drag box. Da-da. So I've overlaid the buffer beam there, and you can see the part. So here's the 3/32 rivets. Yeah. Now, this is obviously the drag beam that I showed you last week in its drawing phase of all its different components. And what I do is I break them down when it comes to laser cutting. So this is looking at it from above. That's looking at it from the back there. And then down here, looking at it from one end. Okay. 3/32 rivets on there. You can see the buffer beams overlaid on the top of it. On the full size drawings, let me zoom back out of this. There we go. There's the drag beam there, look. And you can see the row of rivets. Now, these tenders were riveted together, but I want some sort of way of pulling it apart for overhaul and stuff like that. So I'd refer back to the Dick Stockings. He's put that you put a couple of countersunk screws in the face here, which attaches the drag box to the buffer beam to the drag box, because the drag box is a different style of fabrication. We haven't got that fabrication. We've got our own fabrication that's copying full size here. So what I've done, which you won't see here, but Mark, who's building an engine, and myself, there's a few of these are as near as a 3/32 rivet, but in a screw, which is 7BA. So many of those for detail are countersunk rivets on the back, and then to bolt all of this to the drag box behind it, which is that part there, I've put a series of 7BA slotless screws through. So when you look at it, it doesn't look any different, but it gives you an idea of what's going on. And if I can reach it while I'm showing you, yeah, so you can see the hole straight through it there, where the 7BA screws are going to go. There's actually a couple pushed through there. So you can see they don't look out of place against a 3/32 rivet, but it's going to give you strength. So instead of having however many 4BAs he says put in it, let me have a quick butcher's. So it says put 8 4BA countersunk screws in there. I think I've put about 8 or 10 7BAs, so I'm getting equal amount. Plus as well, The buffer beam is held onto the drag box. The drag box is bolted to the frames. The pull isn't on the buffer beam itself, it's pulling on the drag box, hence the name drag box. So it's essentially, it's just holding the buffer beam on and making it look like the real thing. The pull of the hook, because the hook goes right the way through the drag box here and pulls on this massive 3mm plate here on the back, it's going to try and pull the drag box out of the frames. If you had a real heavy load, you'd have to have an anchor in the ground or something. Pulls on this massive part here, so that's where the hook goes through. And the ends, as you can see there, where I've overlaid two different drawings there at once. If you look at the end of the drag box there, look, there's a silly amount of bolts, but the bolts marry up. Let's go back to our other drawing, this one. The bolts marry up with the amount of bolts in there. Yeah, so I've tried to copy it as best I can. So if you go back to the old calculator, I'm remembering this equation, okay, whatever your size is, whatever it is on your drawing, okay, forget this drawing that's here, let's go back to a picture, there we go, and then bring up the calculator again. Whatever your measurement is, if it's in feet and inches, yeah, you have to work out there's 12 inches to the foot, yeah, so if it's feet and inches on your measurement, just turn around and go, right, 12 inches multiply by 0.1283, 1.5396 or 1.54 to be precise. Yeah, that's how you're going to do your measurements. Getting one of these sheets when you're doing your drawing side of things helps massively, because you can go, oh, on my works drawings that I've bought, the microfilms I've bought, it says, like for instance, there's a good one to give an example, 1 foot 1.5 inches. Yeah, so you go, okay, well, what's 1 foot 1.5 inches converted for us? So there's 12 inches to the foot, so that's 12. 1 inch added onto that, so that's 13 inches plus half an inch on your sheet. Look down your sheet, oh, there's half inch, 0.500. yeah, so you automatically know what to punch in onto calculator. So going over to your calculator, we're going, right, we want 13.500, multiply that by 0.1283 equals, there is your measurement. Yeah, so that at the minute is a distance measurement, so I know what the distance measurement is there. So you can round that, your drawing program will probably round that up for you, depending on what you're using. It might round it up, might round it down. And this is why I say you've got to be a bit 10 steps ahead. So even though you go, okay, I'm just working on a buffer beam at the minute, I don't need to worry about the frames or the drag box or anything like that. You do, because you're trying to work out what's next. Yeah, so I have multiple drawings on here, or not on here, but I have multiple drawings of different phases of where the engine is. So this, we've got, obviously, this is the buffer beam alone on its own. You can see there's a new bracket on there, there's another bracket here. I'm not going to need those parts on there, should I say, for a long time yet, because that's the steam heat and vacuum brackets. So if we go back to a full size drawing, zoom out a little bit, steam heat pipe, vacuum pipe, but we're only building the frames in a minute. Yeah, but for us to rivet up, put the rivet detail in, on there, you need those brackets. Okay, so I'm drawing up the brackets so that they can be riveted into place, and then the buffer beam can go to one side until the day you need it. You know, I'm going to work on all the drag boxes next, which I've got at the minute. I've got frames in stock, which have come through from Model Engineers Laser. I'm not going to bring those out at the minute because they're on the other side of the workshop. I've been working on the lower stretches, the upper stretches, the front drag box, the bumpers for the front of the tender, all those types of things. Drawing wise, if I went to open another file on here, this one, there we are, that's full general arrangement. You notice on this I've got the brake gear going in, the drag boxes are in, and what I've been doing, and also as well as if you see it, it's actually drawn in yellow. There, look, the tender tank. And the reason I've started doing the outline for all of that is because of this little measurement down here. This little measurement here is the distance to where I want the water valve handles that attach to the front spectacle plate of the tender. Okay, and the reason I want that is because there's two holes in the top plate of the drag box. So you have got to get well ahead of what you need. And also on the drag box there's this part here which is omitted from the Dick Stockings drawings. This measurement here, this plate here, is where I'm going to put the water valves attached to, so that they've got stability for the handles that are above it, plus as well where the water pipes are going to come from the filter boxes down inside the frames. They're going to come to here, and then there'll be pipes hanging down, flexi pipes hanging down from those to connect to the engine. All this I have to kind of draw in. Like I said, you've got to be 10 steps ahead. So yes, you can go a bit mad and go, alright, well I'll just order my frames because I've got my frames drawn up and I've got this drawn up, got that drawn up. But if you forget a slight thing like that, it can make it harder work further down the line. So that's why you have to kind of be almost 20 steps ahead in this case, but a good 10 steps ahead on your drawings. So that's what I've got up to at the minute with the general arrangement of the tender. It's a long way further on than I need currently, but having the microfilms to work off of for the drag boxes and things like that, what I've been doing is mixing the two. So I've been mixing the datum points for the full size, for like where the spring hangers are riveted in, the brake hangers are riveted on, because they share a hole, which is that one there. So if I zoom in, so they share a hole, which on the Dick Stockings drawings they don't share a hole. So I want it to be right, and it's a simple fact, is the devil's in the detail. I want it to be right, and I'm going to draw it correctly and have cut what I want to my specification, and then I know that, like I say, you might look at it from a distance and go, well, no one can really tell the difference between that and a off-the-shelf drawing, an engine built to a Dick Stockings drawing. But I'll notice, because it's my engine, like you'll notice here, this is a really daft thing. On the Dick Stockings drawing, the frames just come straight down. They don't have that curve in there. On a BR standard tender, which is the BR3 tender, they have that curve in. So I changed where the guard iron is. I moved that further forward. I've moved that to the correct position, And also as well is that the tender footsteps will also change where they are, because they share. There's a bracket that bolts through there. It's either that one or that one. I think it's that one. There's a bracket that bolts through there that I've also got the microfilm for. I want it to share that, so when, you know, you're never going to stand on the steps. That's not the point. The steps are there for look of the engine. So I'm going to put those in and put the steps in the correct place, and the support angle. Not like on the published drawings where the tender steps are bolted through the rear buffer beam. They're not. They hang freely from that piece of angle, which you can't really make out, but that is angle there. That line, and that line. That is a piece of angle. And then there's another piece of angle that is soldered to that, and it creates the bracket for the tender steps to sit on, which the microfilm isn't in my laptop for that. It's on my phone, so I refer to my phone and stuff for the correct drawing that I need. Yes, you might think, well, it's a really expensive way of building an engine. It is, but as I say, devil's in the detail. If you want to do a job, do it properly. I hope that you find what I've shown you, especially with the calculation side of things, I hope you find that that's interesting. If you can get one of these, you just download it off the internet. This Andrew Roberts decimal fraction conversion chart. I just googled a fraction conversion chart that I could print off and just always have a quick reference. And that is exactly what it is. So yeah, I'm hoping that you find it informative. We're going to just flip the picture around. There we are. Let's pop you up here where I can see you without knocking it all over the shop. There we are. Apologies if you can hear the wind whistling outside. Yeah, so I hope you find that informative. As I say, if you've got any questions, just fire them across, and I'll help you out as best I can. I'm sorry it's a bit of a lengthy video, but you kind of have to see it to appreciate it, type of thing, of how you get to what you need to do on your PC with the drawing things. As I say, that Siemens Solid Edge is the drawing program I use. It's in 2D. So everything, as you can see by what I've shown you, everything I draw out as a flat piece, and then I send it off. I save it as two formats, as a draft and then as a DXF file. The DXF file is what Edit Model Engineer's laser will want to use for cutting. He sends it off. I don't know what he does with it, whether he sends it off or he does it in-house, I'm not sure. But he basically converts all that into a piece of metal for me, whether it be brass, steel or whatever. So when it comes to the time when I do the tender sides, the bulkheads in the tender and things like that, I'll draw them up to what I need with, yes, I will count every rivet in a full-size engine to the exact measurement. I'll probably buy the microfilms as well, to make sure that on the BR3 tenders there's a lot of rivets in it, or in any BR engine there's a lot of rivets in the side of them. Get them all in the right spot, the correct height and everything like that. So again, you'll look at it and go, that is as per full size. There we are. So one thing I'm going to show you though, I can't resist it, I'm going to show you the actual tender frames that I've had done. Which I'm going to nip off out across the workshop and grab them and come back, so bear with me. I'm not going anywhere, just give me a sec. Ta-da! So these I've had cut from Edit Model Engineer's laser. This is what I've just shown you as a drawing. So it comes as a flat sheet. Yeah. And you can see all the detail has been put in. So here you can see this, 4 there, spring hanger, brake hanger, 4 there, the other spring hanger. So the spring will be across where the wheel is going to go. 4 down here for the guard irons, and there's that little curve at the back, look. Yeah, and then there's a long row of rivets along the top, but there's going to be some that are going to be bolts, which I think is here where there's a tank support bracket that sticks out like that, and especially here there's 2 lower than all the others, and the reason for that is those ones are riveted on. These are going to share, these ones here are going to share 2 bolts for the upper stretcher. Yeah, so because it's going to share the bolts, I've lowered them down to suit where that is going to go in, and that's going to all get bolted together when it all gets bolted together and stretch the frames out. So there we go. They're a big old lump, you can't really appreciate the size of them, but yeah, I'm very pleased with how they've come out. Yes, I did try the drag box in there to make sure it fitted, because it would be nothing worse than boasting that you can do all this stuff and something doesn't fit, and I'm pleased to say that it does fit. So yeah, I was right pleased with that. So I hope that helps. The next video will carry on over to bolting some bits together, I presume. I won't go into too much of me soldering things and stuff like that unless I'm requested to do so, just because not everyone is going to need to do like the drag boxes like I've done with this. If you are copying it, I'm probably not the best person to show you how to do it, I'll be honest, just because if it starts to go a little bit pear-shaped, I'll be cursing myself because it's money down the pan. And especially because I'll feel under pressure that I'm filming it for you guys. So you'll probably, like the rear drag box, you'll just see a finished article of, there you go, there was all the parts, I've soldered it all together, there's the finished article. So yeah, I'm not going to go into, right, here's a video of me soldering it. I've done videos like that before on silver soldering. So it'll be literally a case of, right, we need to work out X and we'll bolt that in, and then we'll have to go on back to a drawing and this detail needs adding because it's omitted from the published drawings and things like that. So if you've got any questions, fire them away over to me in the comments. Yeah, I just hope that people share it, like it, you know, subscribe to it if you want to. If you want to build a BR Standard 2 to this, join on to my Facebook page and follow it, send me messages and stuff. Like Mark is doing, he's like, as soon as I get something made and I'm happy with the fit, he then orders what he needs from Edit Model Engineers Laser, orders his own stuff, and he does the same at his house. So we are building them in tandem. So if you want to do that, you know, send me a message and I'll go, right, okay, this is what we need to do, and you can get cracking. The tender bit's the easy part of the engine. The front bit's probably not as easy, and I'll probably ask for help from other more experienced model engineers, and hopefully they'll let me film stuff as we're going on. So, but that could be years from now, we don't know, we don't know. We could get through this engine build really quickly, but it all comes down to time. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.